I'm Richard Cirami. They call me the car man in New York, and for good reason. I've retailed over 50,000 vehicles in my career, and today I'm going to give you an education about this industry that you've always wanted to know. Today I'm going to really give you an education about the inside of an automobile, because that's where I usually take a real good hard look to make sure how that interior was maintained. Tells you a lot about how the whole car has been maintained. So let's take a look at this car, because looking at the inside for the few minutes we're looking, it looks pretty good to me. It's nice and clean. It's been well maintained. This car actually just came back from the detailer. But let me point you out a couple of things that most people don't see. We got a burn mark on this seat. We also have a burn mark in the back. What does that tell you? Smoker. Let me say one thing to you about smoker cars. To get the smell out, virtually impossible. Initially, a dealer's going to mask it with all sorts of fragrances and all sorts of different treatments that they use, but need to understand that smoke gets into the foam in the seat, gets into the foam in the headliner. Virtually impossible to take out, and eventually that smell will come back. Then I want to look at the door panels, see if they're scuffed up, see if this is worn off from someone putting their elbow on it all the time. This looks pretty good. But I've got a better telltale sign. What does that tell you? That tells you somebody's got a heavy heel and puts a lot of pressure. And if we really get into the car and we look at the pedals, we'll see that the pedals are more worn than they should be. And that's a good telltale sign. You want to also look at the carpeting. Make sure there's no water stains. Maybe the car was in a flood. That would show up very, very quickly, because you can't get that out, and you can't get the smell of that mustiness out as well. So I make a visual impression. Looking at the steering wheel, I'm looking at all of the controls, taking a look at the dashboard, looking for scratches. I'm looking for discolorations. That would be a telltale sign of a car that was in a flood, or a telltale sign of a car that was just manhandled. Take a look at the back seat. This is a car that I know, for the most part, was well taken care of, because on the back of the seat, there's not scuff marks from children, obviously not marks from baby seats, because they will dent the interior. So we come around this side, and I'm looking at the back seat, and I see this. That's a pretty substantial burn mark. It really tells me that the people who had this car were real smokers, and people that they traveled with smoked as well, because that's a lot of damage. Can it be repaired? Yes, but you'll see it. You can never match the factory. It's impossible to match the fabric. So I'm looking at the door panels here as well to see if there's scuff marks, the back of the seat here as well to see if there's scuff marks, and I'm looking at the overall general interior. For the most part, these people took good care of the car, but I know this car was driven, and driven hard. Just by looking at the pedals, just by looking at the shift knob where it's worn, just by looking at the carpeting, and of course, I know it's a smoker's car, because even though this car was professionally detailed, I could smell the level of smoke on the inside. When you really will smell it is when you put the air conditioning system on, because in the air conditioning system, in the condenser, as well as all of the filters, that smoke gets in there, and even if you change them, it's impossible to get that out of that entire circulatory system that all vehicles come with. Don't be dismayed if it's a smoker's car and you're a smoker. Obviously, it's not going to matter. But if you're someone who's sensitive to smoke, pass on the car and look for a different vehicle. In the long run, you'll be much better off, and frankly, resale-wise, a vehicle that's not a smoker's car is worth considerably more than one that's been smoked in. So thanks for watching. I'd like to invite you to come down to North Shore Honda. You're going to see 200 pre-owned vehicles outside. You're going to be around great people. You know, most people have been here for 25 years. So come on down, test drive a car. If you're looking for a certified car, if you're looking for a new Honda, North Shore Honda is the place to come to.